Welcome into Seahawks Today. We've got a jam-packed show for you, so I'm not even going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. Rivalry uniforms. Do you love them? Do you hate them? They just got released today. More roster moves in Seattle practice squad getting filled out, as well as the 53-man roster. We'll get into who is where and why they are where they're at. And we got to dive into this Athletic article. They were taking shots at the Seahawks QB room, and I frankly did not like it. We don't have any more time in this intro. We're going to get right into the video. Join the movement. We're all joining the channel. We're subscribing. We're joining this family as we create and help bolster our Seattle Seahawks as we push this channel and our team to the playoffs this year. Make sure you subscribe and you join this family. Now, we already started talking about the rivalry uniforms, and here's the deal. I don't know how I feel about them. Obviously, every team in the NFC West just released their brand new rivalry uniforms, and Seattle's kind of look like this. It is we'll call it a wolf gray type of deal. They're back. It's not quite the exact same as what was happening, circa Legion of Boom era. You've got, they're not wingtips on the side, even though that's what everyone thought. They're actually Richter scale. If you don't know what that is, that's a earthquake measuring device. So you got some Richter scale stuff on the side. Nice little neon lettering. Obviously, the helmet, it looks pretty sweet. Now, these uniforms, they're supposed to be an ode to you fans. And I don't know if you're zooming in on these, and there's a little bit of a picture here on this helmet, but on the back of the helmet, it says 12 as 1. And of course, the Seahawks organization is trying to give an ode to you, the fans. You've earned this, right? You are the Seattle Seahawk faithful. You want this team to continue to succeed, to take steps forward. And so they thought, hey, why don't we give an ode to you? Why don't we let you know that we care about you? In the numbers, too, when you looked at Cooper Kupp's from the last one, it has little 12s on the inside of it, just like my sweatshirt does. The difference is my sweatshirt, they're black 12s. That's why you can't see them. Here's the deal, though. As soon as the uniforms were told to us that, hey, they're going to get released, I got nervous. I got sweaty. I got worried. How often do new uniforms come out and they turn out to be good? And then when Seattle dropped the new uniforms today, I went, I give it 2 thumbs meh. They're fine. They're not bad jerseys. Frankly, it kind of looks like you just went to the University of Oregon and you ripped them off of their wingtips. You're like, hey, how can I go and find something halfway decent and then, kind of make it my own, but kind of not, right? It's like when you come in and you have that burner account where you're talking to people, and instead of, completely changing your face, you just got little glasses on. It completely changes you. Oh, Superman? No, Clark Kent. That's what you did there when you're stealing the unis. They're fine. They're okay. I'm not going to write home about them and tell people that I love them. I also don't hate them. They are what they are. I want you to decide, though. I've had some people go into my Instagram and go on my Twitter, DM me, let me know, hey, I love them. Hey, I hate them. Hey, I'm kind of right there with you, Will. 2 thumbs meh. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the Seattle Seahawk rivalry uniforms. Type L for love. Type H for hate. It could be worse, too. It could be those old neon green ones. Now we got more roster moves, right? I told you in the last video there were going to be more moves as Shaquill Griffin obviously got waived from the Seahawks roster so that Darian Kendrick could come in and be that new cornerback. There was a lot of conversation about where would he end up? Would he be someone that they kept around? Would he leave to go somewhere else? And it's become pretty clear to me and to the rest of, the Seattle faithful when John Schneider had his press conference that evening that, hey, they plan to keep Shaquill Griffin around. There was a game plan for this move and how to keep this cornerback depth chart the way they wanted it to be kept. So as we look in on some different moves, Seattle, they obviously kept Shaquill Griffin. He's going to be on the practice squad, can't be on the 53-man roster. They did end up having to release your defensive tackle, Anthony Campbell. Look, that's going to be a miss. there's no rhyme or reason to why he might not end up staying around. There's a chance that he will end up staying around or come back to this team. It's funny how a player might end up on a practice squad, and at the beginning of the year, he gets moved on from, and everyone thinks, he'll never come back. It's gone forever. And then he ends up being right back on that team. Just ask Jamie Sharif, a linebacker that you had bouncing around from a couple different teams last year, including your very own. So when we look at this Seahawks cornerback depth chart, obviously you do not have Shaquill Griffin on that depth chart. He snuck in there in the little corner. He's in the left. Little practice squad. That's what the PS stands for. But that's the perfect spot for him. Because if you have an injury, and right now when I look at this cornerback room, I don't think it's all that deep because there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to have three cornerbacks out there. Look, right now you have Josh Jobe as your right cornerback. That's really Devin Witherspoon's spot. But you like to use him at the nickel, so you bring in Jobe. Well, what happens if there's an injury? What happens if Nehemiah Pritchett's over on special teams and he gets banged up in 1 week? Well, you might need Shaquill Griffin, a guy who you can readily plug into your system, who knows your system from top to bottom. A player that you trust to come in on a week's notice and ball out for you. A guy that you trust to play on special teams if you need him to be out there. A guy who's smart enough to help push some of these younger players along. That's why you keep Shaquill Griffin around. That's why John Schneider said that Shaquill Griffin isn't going anywhere. He's a good veteran presence, and he's a good presence in that locker room. One, to keep players calm. He's not a guy that's going to freak out, but he's a guy who's been there, who's done that, who knows how to get the most out of the Seahawks fan base, but he also knows how to get the most out of himself and the players around him. I like keeping him around on the practice squad for a multitude of reasons. Now, you had some other signings that came out. I heard it all yesterday from the video. Where's Chris Paul Jr.? Where's Courtney Jackson? You didn't announce them. Well, because it wasn't official yet. It's official now, so now we're making that announcement. I do try to be one of the first people, and if I'm being honest, it's a rush for me if I get to be the first person to let you know about a signing. But I will not make an incorrect signing. Both Chris Paul Jr. and Courtney Jackson, they're going to join your team on the practice squad. I am excited to see what they're able to do. Courtney Jackson especially, because that's the type of player who not only is he a good wide receiver, he's a special teams threat, being a kick returner and a punt returner, someone that you can use in a variety of different spots. Don't be shocked if you see him get time this season. And with Chris Paul at linebacker, we went through it yesterday when you signed Chaz Surratt. That was a guy who is going to come in, get some time at that inside linebacking position because you only have three inside linebackers. Well, now Chris Paul is another guy that can do that. And he's a guy that, hey, maybe there's an opportunity to use him a little bit in certain packages and certain situations in that outside linebacker spot. There were some other players that you released today. Now, D'Anthony Bell, he ended up being released to off the active roster. It's a guy who could still keep coming back. There is no word yet on if he is gone from your team completely. I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle ended up signing him back onto the practice squad if they're able to. And if not, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Now, Gaines and Tyus, they have been moved on from. They are no longer on your practice squad. Again, doesn't mean that they are gone forever. How often do you hear about a team in the NFL that says, hey, we're done with this player on our roster, and then, oh, lo and behold, they're back in a week or two, especially for someone like Tyus who plays a running back position where guys get beat up all the time. I understand that, right? I understand that Martinez, they're already on your practice squad, and they would obviously be the running backs to fill in if there are injuries. He's still a guy that you could bring in on the practice squad if you have a bunch of special teams injuries as well that you could use. Now, for the rest of today's show, I had teased earlier, hey, we got some rivalry uniforms we got to lay out, we got to discuss. Hey, we're going to have to talk about roster moves. We got to talk about maybe the worst article that I've read. And I've read a lot of articles today. I know with my backwards hat, it doesn't look like I can read. I was the top AR points getter at Hawkinson Elementary School. Shout out. So put some respect on my name. And I was reading an article today about the worst quarterback situations in the NFL right now. And as I'm going through The Athletic, a very reputable source, a source that I have come to know and to trust, they were ranking the worst QB positions and situations. And I'm reading through and I go, yeah, that team at 10 makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense in New York. Yeah, that makes sense in Minnesota. Wait, why is Seattle at 6? And I think it's just absolutely ludicrous. They are freaking nuts as spit comes flying out of my mouth. I'm so upset. They said that right now in Seattle, if Sam Darnold doesn't play like he did last year, they have one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. That's too much hate, man. Why can't you trust that Sam Darnold is going to get the job done? He showed it to you last year. Just because he had 2 games at the very end of the season where he struggled, we're now completely sold and it's Sam Darnold back to seeing ghosts? He doesn't have Adam Gase as his OC, he has Clint Kubiak. He's got a darn good OC who's going to set him up for success in this system. The other point that The Athletic had to say about this was, well, if Sam Darnold goes down, all you have is Drew Lock, and Drew Lock isn't that good. I get it. Drew Lock isn't amazing. It's also the same Drew Lock that, a couple years ago on Monday Night Football beat the Philadelphia Eagles? The same Philadelphia Eagles who just won the Super Bowl. I understand they weren't as good that year. Producer Reed's looking at me frowning. He's an Eagles guy. He's got an Eagles hat on right now. He's a little bit upset. Look, that Eagles team was good, and you beat them with Drew Lock in a system that was not as good as this offensive system. You're going to run the ball at a highly efficient level. You are going to set your quarterback up for easy passes, for nice passes. And hey, I don't think the world will end up falling, but if it does, I trust Jalen Milroe. Baldy loves him. I love him. He's got to work on some things, but I think that football IQ is going to push him forward as he learns more and more. Sam Darnold gets way too much hate after what a great year he had last year. You're a real one. You made it to the end of the video. You love the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe you're coming around to me in my backwards hat. You're coming around to the channel. At this point, you did the hard part. Give us that thumbs up. Let us know that you care. Help us help you by continuing to make content that you want to see. The more likes this video gets, the more I'll know that I need to keep diving into these roster moves. Until next time, I'll see you later.